All right, Jimmy, we talked about today, a very significant day. It is opening day. We talked about that earlier.
Right.
It's also April Fool's Day.
Right.
So have you been fooled at all today or no?
I plead the fifth.
You plead. Well, would I fool you if I said, hey, our next guest just didn't show up? I'm just kidding. He's here.
Oh, my goodness.
He's here. Nobody panic.
Okay.
And we thought, you know, let's dive into April Fool's Day a little bit. It's obviously about more. There's probably more that went on rather than just jokes and fun. And our guy, Jim Duffy.
Oh, he's the man.
Is here to tell us about a historic April Fool's visit in Tangier Island. How you doing, Jim?
Pretty good, Katie. How are you?
Great. So this was the president who paid a visit, right?
It is. So we're out in the middle of nowhere on Tangier Island. It is actually April 1st, and it's 1916. So in 1916, kind of the winds of war are in the air. World War I hasn't started yet, but they're getting ready for it. And in the Chesapeake Bay, that means out by Tangier Island, they're like doing bombing runs and doing practice bombing out there. So there's the constant sound of like mortar going off in the area around Tangier Island. And a strange boat on April 1st, a strange boat shows up outside of the island. It's a large boat, and some people in uniform get down off of the boat into a little kind of lifeboaty thing and start taking it in towards the islanders. And the islanders, whose last experience of war was really in 1812 when the British invaded.
They did have a visit, yeah.
Plus, they hear these bombs. Plus, they hear these bombs going off all the time. They kind of freaked out, and they all like ran off and hid. The entire Tangier Island population ran off and hid. So these people from this big boat landed, and you can imagine how completely bizarre, like some horror movie it was, to be in the middle of this place that was like perfectly lived in and everything was a go, except there were no people to be found anywhere. So the people from the big boat, they wandered all over. They didn't have any luck. They went back to the dock, and it was like they were just going to give up and go back to their big boat. But instead, they decided to give it one more try because they just couldn't believe how weird it was. And they came back in, and they caught one guy had come out too early. And this old man had come out, and the guy from the big boat walked up to him and said, gosh, I hope we're not disturbing your quiet day here. And that's when the old man realized that the visitor was the President of the United States, Woodrow Wilson.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, exactly. Quite a shock, right?
Can you imagine?
No.
Yeah.
And then what happened?
So the old man like looked at him and said, are you the president? And the president said, yes, sir, I have that honor. And it turns out that Wilson was on the presidential yacht. It was called Mayflower. And they were sailing, and he just saw a little speck on the map that said Tangier. And he goes, hey, I want to go here. So it was completely out of the blue. Nobody knew that it was coming. There were no telegraphs in those days and no telephones on Tangier Island. And so he just like paid this surprise visit. And it ended up having a kind of a super happy ending. Everybody came on, the school children choirs all gathered and sang to the president. And everybody got to shake the president's hand. Everybody put their flags out on the flagpole. And it ended up getting, you know, it's kind of like the Washington Post wrote about it and the papers in Baltimore wrote about it. So it ended up with a super happy ending, but it's kind of has that April Fool's quality of a guy just paying a surprise visit and nobody knowing the president is coming and everybody hiding on him.
How about that?
That is insane. Did President Wilson at the time ever say anything about Tangier? Did he have thoughts about it? Did he say this place is great?
Yeah, you know what? He was most struck. Most of the information for this comes from actually the journals of his wife, who was also on the trip. But Wilson did say he was completely struck by the way on Tangier Island family graves are like right in the front yard. So when you're like walking the house and you walk up to the front door, you're kind of walking past your ancestors and your late siblings and things like that. And that's the thing that most struck him about his visit to Tangier Island.
Wow.
Interesting.
Wow. And only Jim Duffy could come up with a story.
Only Jim Duffy. Hey, Jimmy, do you want to ask Jim Duffy what baseball team he roots for?
Yeah, we're kind of checking out with people. Who are you rooting for this year, Jim?
I am rooting, as always, since the day of my birth, for the Go Chicago White Sox with, it's a tie, the Baltimore Orioles as well.
Oh,
of
see,
course.
there you go.
How do you feel about that, White Sox fan?
Well,
the Cubs.
You know, well, you know, I still love Jim.
Exactly. That's all that matters. That's all that matters.
Jim, thank you.
Always a good time. All right, well, let's talk cutie pies.
As a matter of fact, Katie, you just hit a soft spot in my heart.
Yeah, Jimmy, you're one of them. You're one of them, you know. But I was thinking more along the lines of Scarlett the Sweetie. We will share her story next in hopes of convincing you that you want to snuggle with Scarlett.
And a little later on, you can fool them with the main ingredient in these brownies, black beans. Black bean brownies. We're going to see how they're done. It's still Marvel Life Rocks On today.